All right. And sticking with Tarantino for a bit. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is the
Yes.
ninth film from Tarantino, and which I will get into with my thoughts on the film. Rumored to be his last film, but I
Okay.
remember when I heard that the first time, I was let down because like I
No, I
thought that
thought,
he was going to do 10 films.
is it he still doing the Star Trek?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Because, well, okay, so I may have kind of paraphrased it wrong, right? But I was under the impression that I think that he just was kind of getting into the mode of, all right, I think I don't really have any other story I could tell. Maybe I should kind of wrap things up and whatnot. So maybe this might be the last one, maybe not. You know what I mean? And he kept hinting that the last film that he will do will be more kind of epilogish now. Like this is gonna be the last time you're ever gonna see a Tarantino film. So it's that sort of feeling there. But yeah, I always thought that there was going to be that R-rated Star Trek movie. Even before that announcement came out, I was under the impression that he was going to do. Cause he never did a sci-fi film. He never did a horror film. So I thought he was going to do
Right.
like a sci-fi horror film and just end things
Right.
off there. I mean, because he has pretty much dipped his hands in a lot of genres. And one in particular, which comes up in this movie again, is the Western. You know what I mean? It seems
Yeah.
that it's just this thing about revitalizing the Western, and that's one thing that I picked up in this show here, which I didn't expect, but I picked up on it. But yeah, this, like I said, is the ninth film from Tarantino. So this film does not have any connection with the Weinsteins anymore. So it's Sony now, Sony and Columbia. No Weinsteins involved, like with Hateful
Right.
Eight, there's other films.
Right.
So hallelujah. Um, and this last thing I'll say before you give a spoiler-free synopsis on it. The idea behind it, I wasn't really sure what to make of it at first because he was saying that it was going to be about the Manson murders in 1969. So I was wondering if it was going to be about Charles Manson and all that. If it was going to be solely about that. But then later on, he said it was going to be about just 1969 itself, and just these two guys, these two actors trying to survive in that. But I was
Right.
even going into this film, I was wondering, okay, what is the connection, or how is he gonna tie it or connect it to the Manson murders?
Yeah.
What is going to be the outcome of this? And we'll talk about the outcome of the show in a bit, right? But Ricardo, what is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood about?
All right. So Leonardo DiCaprio plays Rick Stolton. Dalton.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Rick Dalton.
Yeah, Rick Dalton, this aging old Western star who trying to break into bigger movies. He's big in the 50s, and then now in the early 70s, late
Well,
60s, early
late
70s,
late 60s, late 60s.
late 60s. He no, it's 78. It was already 78. His story, right?
No. Well, no, it doesn't ever move to 1970. It always
No, right,
yeah, the
69.
whole
Sorry,
story set in 1969 actually,
right,
which I will also
and
bring up too in my thoughts on the film. But continue.
right. So he kind of want to get in the career, kind of not getting too fast. He starting to be a problem. It's starting to become a problem for his career. Al Pacino explains to him why that's the case, which I liked.
Yeah,
And they
he's
kind of get
a producer who considers
yeah,
that he does spaghetti westerns, and
right,
Rick is like, no, I can't do that. That's like the lowest of the low. I don't
right,
like spaghetti westerns. They're too violent.
right.
Blah blah blah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so Leo plays this. Yeah, plays this Asian star. He kind of a little neurotic. They have little issues. They did little stuff. Yeah. Then so he also is the guy who's a stuntman and general handyman and friend. I
Yeah. His
forget
name is Cliff Booth.
Cliff Booth, right? Cliff Booth,
Yeah.
played by Brad Pitt. He is his thing. He kind of living in this what a trailer effectively.
Yeah,
uh,
he lives in a trailer. He just kind of
right,
doing what he wants right now.
right.
He don't really have anything to look forward to it as far as life
Right.
goes. He
Well,
just, you know,
he it's implied that he loses a lot of money. He was rich at one point, maybe, and then he lost a lot of money. But it's explained why that might be the case. And he kind of downtrodden in his way, but he's just this general alpha male badass type, right?
yeah,
And he has a dog,
yes, he
which
does.
becomes very relevant later.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
yeah, and then what happens that he kind of picks up a pattern with some hippies hanging around the area. And then the story goes into that. It just builds these characters and their life throughout the late 1960s, and just as Tarantino's take on Hollywood, his specifics of life, and then we get into the life of also Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate
Yeah,
and their life.
but more emphasis on, well,
Tate
more or less emphasis, I should say, on
on
Sharon Tate, who is played by
Sharon Tate.
Margot Robbie.
Right,
And if you're familiar with your American history, no, this is not a
right,
spoiler.
right,
Sharon Tate was one of the victims of the Manson family murders. You know what I mean? She
right,
was brutally
right.
stabbed to death, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, while pregnant.
What? Yeah,
Uh,
while pregnant, which is
right.
really messed up. Yeah.
Right. So the story decides to go with that thing, with that story, and then they don't. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go through, I don't know if I want to address this now or later, but let me address it now. Okay, so I had this movie spoiled for me before. I had this movie spoiled for me, so I knew what was the ending. Right. It wasn't a big spoiler because it was in the sense that even though I know what the ending was, I just wanted to see it executed. You know, it's a how, not a what kind of film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I still enjoy the movie just as much as I think I would enjoy the movie just as much. Wasn't that big of a twist, right? So I was like, okay, I get why Tarantino would do that with the ending. However, where the movie comes across kind of strange is that you're wondering if the movies are kind of subtle defense of Roman Polanski.
Huh.
Yes. Because when I heard...
never thought of that, though. Go on.
Right. Who is that little girl that was in the movie with that fella? Who is she supposed to be exactly?
Oh, you mean, all right, so there's a scene in the set of the show that
Yes.
Rick is guest starring in, and there's this little girl that they have a scene together, which is good.
Right.
I assumed I really need to do my research because yes, some characters in this movie here are based off of real life actors,
Yes.
real life people, right? So I just assumed that she was just a girl that was in the movie. I didn't know if she was real or not, if she was a real person or not. I doubt she was.
In my head, I always had, now the timeline might be a little off, but because the character mentioned she was eight years old.
Yeah, she was 8.
And well, the big thing of Roman Polanski is that it's less, well, not as much because it was 1969, right?
Yeah.
It was
Oh, you're talking about the allegations with the pedophilia kind of thing, right?
It's the same girl. Because
that was if my memory serves me right, that whole pedophile thing was in the 70s though, like early 70s.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Right. It was off. Right, she was 8, but it was in the 70s. But he was only caught. He was only accused in the by 77. So it could be she was 13 at the time. If she's 13 at the time, that means by at least 1974 he could have done what he did. That's what I understand. Right? He was caught by 1977. So I don't know if that's the case now. But whatever.
All right. Let me just actually look up the character's name, right? The character's name is Trudy Frazier, right? I forgot the actress who plays her.
That's the point. We never learned what actress name is.
However, sorry to cut you there. However, just like with Leo and Brad's characters, they are based off of real life characters. Because well, I didn't know this till after the fact, but Leo's character is based off of Burt Reynolds, and
I get that.
The stuntman based off of Burt's stepmother.
I got the sense that everybody in this was real except for Brad and Leo, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
They were the only two insert characters, and that's the only thing that makes this universe the trajectory goes different, right?
Right. Okay.
And so I got it just come like a defense of Roman Polanski, because basically the implication is that, well, if this didn't happen to Roman Polanski, he wouldn't do that, and then he wouldn't be the infamous case that he is now. That's how it come across.
Oh, I see.
Like it's a subtle defense of Roman Polanski. And on top of that now, Roman Polanski just come out with a movie about being accused. And, you know, it's about a response to the whole Me Too movement kind of thing. Because Roman Polanski was like one of the big people for that long time now. Since time immemorial and even since The Pianist and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
And that drama is a perennial drama in Hollywood. And with this movie, I get a feeling, and I would not be surprised if you hear something, piece or two, saying that this is a secret defense of Roman Polanski, especially with the ending there, what they do with the ending,
Right.
right? Whatever. That's just my take on that. I just getting that off my chest before I start the actual review.
Okay. But get to the review. I want to hear your thoughts on the movie. And then I'll
I
jump into my
I
nerdy
I
theories on.
yeah, no, I really like this a lot. Mostly because of how strong of a character piece this is.
It is.
You know,
It is. Yeah.
Rick Dalton is not only he's played brilliantly. I thought he was played absolutely brilliantly by Leo, because it was
Yeah.
really I want to make an Inception joke. It was Acception. In fact, his performance was exceptional. If I'm going to make that corny ass joke there, um, it was so good. Like he was playing all the neuroses of this figure, and then he's playing acting, and then acting as if he acting, and then when he melt down, that's such a great scene.
Well, that meltdown scene had me cracking up though.
Yeah, that was so good. That was such a great scene. And then when he actually had to play the role itself, and that was a good scene too. It's like, but it's still like it's a fake role now. And I was like, but
I love this about the movie too. Sorry to cut you there. I love this about the movie where it's actors that you know, playing actors, and it's just always kind of going in and out. Like we acted, but then behind the scenes and that, and when the director yells cut, there's always a kind of a sort of a weird meta take on acting and actors themselves. I love that. Yeah.
Right. But the only thing I was a little off is I find the camera. I didn't know why they decided to go with a modern camera look with some of the shots. I thought they would have go with the classic look, but whatever. That's just more like a creep.
You can look more retro.
Yeah, exactly. I thought we would have gotten that, but we didn't really get that. But it didn't matter. And then Brad Pitt's character was solid, but I didn't like him as much as Leo because Leo was just so well developed. Like he really was.
Yeah. To me, it felt like Brad was being outshined or at least overshadowed.
Yeah.
No, Leo, I guess is the point because he is he's a lowly stuntman. Nobody cares about stuntman, right? So
exactly. No, but I find Leo was just so good in this because he's such a basket case now. Like he just so soft and can't do anything, and he just like. And then on top of that, he winding down in his career now. So he started to melt down now. Like, especially that little scene with the book. And the book is about Tina, which I liked. When he was with the little girl.
Yeah, he's not scared up though. Like it's funny. Like that's the thing I love about his character. Like you feel sorry for him, but at the same time you just kind of want to laugh at him because he just a lovable loser in a sense though. But someone who you think because of his position should kind of know better though. But that's the unfortunate thing about it. That's what I love about this film, where it's like they just really try to keep their career, their lives afloat, but they don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So they just do what they can do, and it's unfortunate.
And then what they do with Brad Pitt's character, I liked because they had this weird history with him and the wife. Going on.
They hint at, but they never. Well, I'm glad that they kept it open and they know where you kind of had to assume things. But I wish, though, just personally, that they could have came back to like, oh, this really is what happened, and this is why.
No, but that's why it kind of worked because again, this is that kind of defense of people being accused of things, right?
Okay, I got you.
That's why. So it's like there's a lot of this in the script, though. There's a lot of that in the script, and you can see it kind of relevant to today. And here's the thing: Polanski himself right now has a film about being accused of something, out in I think it's some one of them festival or something like that. I don't know if it's Cannes or one of those.
Right.
So it have a whole piece of drama coming up. Like, again, the feeling it have a kind of weird blowback against the Me Too movement trying to build up now. Right? Dave Chappelle just come out to T-Ting and all of that shit now.
Yeah. Big controversy, quote unquote, with that, yeah.
Right. And so, again, that's why I get it again, that vibe with this stuff. Anyway, Leo really worked. Everybody else was good in this. I'm
gonna talk about Margot Robbie in a second.
Margot Robbie I thought was good, but because she didn't really have that much lines, and again in the grand scheme of things, it kind of doesn't matter. Because of what they decide to go with. And it's like, okay, I kind of get why they decide to do. Because I thought she would have like a big meaty role, and she didn't. It's like, oh no, this is how her life playing out, and I like what it did. All the little side roles was kind of weak. Like the other guy who was playing
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, I was like, really? Like, and I thought like it would have been such a standout moment. No, you would have seen a little bit more of him. It's just for him to just deliver just a
Here's
piece
the
of
problem.
line, just a piece of
Here's
dialogue, and that's it.
the problem is that if he don't look anything like Steve McQueen,
Nope.
so I don't know who's these people who like I don't know who this for because like nobody now barely know who Steve McQueen is as an actor. Like
Which is sad actually, which is very sad.
exactly no, but I exactly, but I'm like because I'm a film buff. I kind of know who Steve McQueen is, but I find they should make a better effort of making the guy look like Steve McQueen. Or make him actually look like Steve McQueen, so you say, okay, that's Steve McQueen, like what they did with Bruce Lee, which was great.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
Because,
that guy, his name is Mike Moore, who plays Bruce Lee.
yeah, he nailed
Brilliant,
it.
brilliant,
Yeah,
brilliant, in my opinion. At a
I
point
thought
in
it.
time,
But
though, I was wondering, when I was thinking about the show in my head, like, was there a need for Bruce Lee to be in this? But
no,
and not
okay,
just because
but,
of the compare and contrast that you do with Cliff's character, but like I
right,
was thinking about it from a Tarantino perspective, is like, well, this actually makes sense because, well, slight nerdy stuff. When Bruce was, getting big and whatnot, I remember him being in a movie, well, adaptation of a for the Marlowe novel, and they call it Marlowe. Bruce
right,
Lee had an appearance in that film, and also, well, he
right,
was in the Green Hornet series, which actually isn't
right.
half bad if you're into
Yeah,
the
that's
whole,
good.
Adam West Batman vibe. You know?
Right. I know. The scene. I thought the scene was kind of weak, frankly. Like I get why people are complaining about it because it wasn't just to make Bruce Lee look weak, which I get what they was trying to go for, but I thought the scene could have built up a little better. It felt like
I
one
would
of those
agree.
times.
I would agree as well. I
Yeah.
wanted a little bit more out of it now. And I
Right.
understand, it's like, well, Bruce is not an asshole, blah, 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 blah. But I can make the argument that, he did kind of transition into the Bruce Lee that we know and love now, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But at a point in time,
Exactly.
I was cocky, you know what I mean? Man thought he was
Yeah.
he shit, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Exactly. It's early Bruce Lee. It's young Bruce Lee. But
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
here's the thing. What's interesting about that is that like they remember they did a part where they show Bruce Lee training the
Margot.
girl, training Tate,
Yeah.
right? Right. That was a big conspiracy at the time, that
Oh,
people
really?
right. The conspiracy was that we call him Roman Polanski. I think even Roman Polanski was part of it. Well, he was familiar with it. A lot of I don't know if Roman Polanski spread it or whoever thing, but a lot of people thought Bruce Lee was the murderer of Sharon Tate
Oh, I did
at
not
the
know
time.
that
Yeah,
actually.
that was the
Right.
thing. Like I think Roman Polanski thought Bruce Lee killed his wife because it was so they find out so expertly done, and this was before they got caught. Now the Tate family, well, we'll call them the Manson family
The
people,
Manson family, yeah.
right? Before they got caught, that was a big because remember they got caught like a little later now. At one point they thought that Bruce Lee was kind of like it was unclear, but they thought Bruce Lee was the murderer of the Sharon estate now. Sorry, Sharon Tate now.
Right.
So that was a whole thing by itself. So I get why he was relevant, and they made a whole thing, but then they really go forward with it because of the story, because of the nature
Yeah.
of the story, and what they decided to do with it. The movie was going great, and then they decided to have this last 15 minutes of this insane action sequence.
Yep.
Uh,
Which I was
involving
on the one hand, I was cracking up at it, but at the same time, I was like, all right, this is a little too much.
too much.
I get it, but it's a little too much.
Lost at the end with it, but it was funny as hell, and I thought it worked.
But it was
Right.
so authentic Tarantino, which I will talk
Exactly.
about when I get to my review. My thoughts
Right.
go on.
And I got what Tarantino was doing for what it was trying to do. The idea was, look, if this thing didn't happen, then Hollywood would have kept it in a sense, kind of thing. Like because that was
Correct.
that's what that will break a lot of people for Hollywood. Like wait, everything changed after that. And I get where Tarantino was going for with this ending. I like it. I get where he was going for, and it's a movie I ultimately find myself defending. I get why people. I get why people why people have issues with it. I get all the issues.
I get too because like I was watching reviews of it, and some people were taken aback by certain aspects of it. I was like, yeah, I understand, but that's
Right.
not really what the show is about. But I understand the criticism this movie have.
Right. And ultimately, I can't be mad at this for what it is. I think it's a really good movie. I don't think it's his best or anything like that, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy it for it. So I don't know. That's good. My quick rating, I'll just give it a very, 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 very high movie tongue.
Nice,
Um,
nice, nice.
everything was just so meticulous in terms of the world building. You really get a sense of old Hollywood. The stuff with the stuff on the ranch was a good scene. I thought that was great. But yeah, they used to shoot on ranches a lot.
Yeah,
Um, uh, they just did that whole, it's just a real good, nice, big meta commentary on Hollywood and the history of that. And that's ultimately a nice story that would just end up being a nice story in the ending about it. So that's just me.
right. Okay, okay. Great. Well, great review, right? So now to get to fanboy time, right? Fanboy time. Da, 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 da. Right. So going into this, I'll admit. Right. So just out of the way one time. No, this is not his best work, but
Okay.
I honestly think that he wasn't that wasn't his aim. Like he wasn't trying to top any of his previous films. I don't think this was the idea. So for me for me how I took this film, you have to kind of understand Tarantino himself, where he is right now, what he did before, and where he is at, in terms of his career now. Make I remember what I said earlier, where it was rumored that this was going to be his final film, even though he was
Right.
going to do the whole Star Trek thing, right? And I still believe that Tarantino is going to hold on to his word. He's going to give us one more film, and then he's going to just retire. And probably, like, I think that he will do this for, like, Hateful Eight, for example, adapt his films into plays, and write books, and really push more distribution of just obscure films, and I mean, just classic films and whatnot, right? I see that in his future. So what I mean, like, the way how I see this movie here is just about himself, just about Tarantino and just the stuff that he loves, but more him kind of being a little critical, a little bit more self-aware. Like, all right, people know me for doing this. People know me for the throwbacks and whatnot. But personally, is this it? Like, is this all I'm gonna do? You know what I mean? Is this where
Right.
my career is, what my career is, and what it's going to be, period. I see that in this movie now, from just the loving, because this is just like a love letter basically
Yeah.
to just the 60s, and not just
Yeah.
1969 when the film was based in, right? um and just so much detail, you know what I mean? And right down to, the radio itself, you know what I mean? There's characters just driving in cars, just listening to this WF
Right.
something FM radio, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Just hearing all
And
these
it's right.
hits, right?
Is that excuse to bring all these classic songs into the
Yes.
soundtrack? Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, soundtrack kind of knocks. Actually
Yeah.
checked
It's
out the
good. Yeah.
soundtrack. Soundtrack's great. It's gonna probably just, like, just the younger heads who probably want to hear 100 Black Coffins will just get turned off by it. 'Cause it's just pure, unalterated, 60s classic hits. A majority of which I don't even know. But yeah, I was just listening. I was like, I'm getting this. I'm feeling this. And it gets even better though when you hear in these old commercials, boy. You know what I mean? They even
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it near in the end. It's you hear a particular ad that's based on a particular show that was big in the 60s. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say. When they hear it, you'll be like, oh shit, wow, okay, right? So yeah, so how I interpret the film is like him just trying to recapture that moment, right? Not saying that he would have been aware of everything that went on in the 60s, of course not, right? But this was an era that he loved, right? Even though mainly he grew up in the 70s, just how this his trajectory and in terms of his love for film was really in the 70s. But he has a soft spot for the 60s, right? For obvious reasons, right? So I got that,
Yep.
I mean, the tribute there. And just the film itself was really more of a slice of life kind of thing, which caught me by surprise too, because I thought that the film was going to have like an actual narrative. Because I went in, and sorry, because even with the trailers themselves, I really wasn't sure what this show was going to be about. You know what I mean? So I just kind of went to, like, all right, well, it's a Tarantino movie. I'm gonna go in as blind as I can. I'm gonna see where this is going. And I'll admit there were moments where I was kind of wondering where the story is going. Is this gonna connect eventually to the Manson murders, right? Especially in the second act, where a
Right.
lot of criticism was drawn from. You know what I mean? Mainly not knowing where the story is gonna be. I would admit I kind of fell into that a bit, but I was trusting Tarantino's vision, right? I was trusting it, and what I got from it though, and I actually appreciate this, I think this is actually brave on his part, is that it doesn't really follow a traditional narrative though. It
Yeah,
does kind of remind me like stuff like say Easy Rider, which also does not follow a traditional narrative. It just feels like characters just going place to place looking for something, like they say in the tagline, they're looking for America but they can't find it, right? So I got that kind of vibe with this movie here, where it's like these two characters trying to be relevant. Well, at least in Leo's case, well, Rick,
yeah,
he's just trying to keep his career. He's trying to keep his career afloat. Then I mean, he wants people to remember him, but it's like, well, dude, nobody cares there. It's just so funny that it just takes an appearance in one or two shows. You know what I mean, for him to actually decide, hey, maybe I should give this spaghetti thing a look, right? And if you know your history, you'll recognize that with people, with actors, sorry, American actors like Clint Eastwood
yep,
and Lee Van Cleef. Yeah, they were big somewhat in the '60s, but at a point in time they did go to Italy and did these spaghetti westerns. I also like how meticulous it was in terms of showing just how just in brief little glimpses now how just the style of how these films were shot, how they were made. Um, Even this funny moment involving post production, the dialogue now, how like how the American actors would speak English, but
yep,
everybody else had to kind of dub over in English because they talking Italian now. So everybody talking Italian
yeah,
except you. You know what I mean? I love how they touch that. It was a little too self-indulgent at times though, where it's like, all right, well, I know this is common knowledge, right? Especially if you know these genres. But you had to kind of stop the show to show you, okay, well, this is how the post production thing is, and this is how the film reels look, and blah, 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 blah. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
once again, this is Tarantino. You know he loves these things. He loves these things. You even have a moment where the characters, where the main characters watching themselves basically on screen, and that's the vibe I was getting from it. Like he was more seeing himself as just being a fan, and what I mean, because he did the directing thing before, and it's even to a point, in true auteur fashion, where you could reference your own films, right? So yeah, there's
Right,
there's one scene, this one war movie with Leo, and
yeah, yeah,
instantly you take it in Glorious Bastards, right? Even
right,
the payoff
right,
it is just so incredibly in Glorious Bastards. So it's
right,
like that, you know what I mean? So I dug that, right? Um, there's even a moment where I swear like they recreate a scene from The Great Escape, but they just put Leo in place of Steve McQueen. Like
right.
that moment, I thought they could have established on a little bit more instead of just being like, "Hey, I love the show so much, I'm actually gonna be so meta with it. I'm gonna put Leo in that one scene and
Right,
show what
right,
happens." Right? So it's very much, behind the scenes and oh well, this character was meant to be in this show, sorry, this actor was going to be in this show, but it didn't happen, and this is the scenes that they did, and blah blah blah. So it's very much in depth now, and I actually appreciate that. Even right down to just the film itself, kind of showing, hey, this is the camera, this is the director yelling cut. This is what happens behind the scenes. What you're seeing here actually isn't what really is, all that kind of stuff though. And another thing that I picked up on too is just how he incorporates the Western again, because technically, while this is not a Western, this is the third time in this decade alone where he has touched on the genre of Westerns now. And if you know
right.
a thing or two of Westerns, it's like, there's that genre is dying, you know what I mean? And it's funny too because my friend who's sitting on my man was saying he would love to see a Western come out in this year now, you know what I mean? Something new. And I
Right.
just made the joke that, it'd be cool if we had like a franchise now, piece of our Western, like, the Man with No Name, Django, and stuff like that now. But we don't have that, you know what I mean? So it's almost like Tarantino did Django, hoping that Westerns would have come back. And, Hateful Eight now. And the closest thing we really got was the Magnificent Seven, right? The remake, which I thought was pretty good now, but still, it didn't really do much in terms of revitalizing the Western or bringing it back now. But in Tarantino's head, at least in my how I see it, is like, well, dog, I can't be bringing back genres for the rest of my life. I have to move on. So you just get a sense of like, does this director kind of just this twilight period of his life now, I mean, of his career. Like, is this all there is to me, or did I do enough? I felt like I did enough. So, what's the next step for me? And I assume this is where the 10th film is gonna really answer that question. But here, it just feels a little bit more doubtful. Like, you know, People expect him to come with a solid script with great dialogue, and it's there. But why does it always have to follow a traditional narrative? You know what I mean? Like, why can't it just be breezy and just go, just be a little bit more slice of life and just showing characters just existing and doing what they do? And now I'll get into Margot Robbie, right? And her role in this. And yes, I would argue that yes, there could have been more with her. They could have really utilized the character more. Here, I kind of see her as just being like this. It's not like they making her like some kind of angel, like some holy character in this world of Hollywood, right? You know, what I mean? I'm not saying that, but she kind of seems kind of like untainted at the moment, especially when you know what happens afterwards, right?
Right, right.
So there's moments with her just kind of like happy and smiling and dancing and stuff like that. Just not aware of the fate that will befall her, right? You know, like that. Even though, like I said, I wish that there was more stuff done with her. I wish that she was an actual, like there was more to her in the story. I do appreciate the moments with her, and I feel like it's some kind of behind the scenes thing, maybe with Tarantino and Polanski. Maybe he did want to show her as just being a victim. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
someone who just happened to end up in the situation, but just this is who she was, and this is what she could have been. She could have been a rising star, basically, but she had a one rule or something like that. She had rules, but the last rule being that of this Dean Martin film. I didn't even know it existed, but her there's a moment actually with her going to a theater watching that film, and that once again, I do see it as like just Tarantino's way of just being like, being the fanboy, being the viewer, seeing that film, materialize. I saw that moment. So there's lots of moments of, just you could tell it's like very reminiscent of like what Tarantino loves, being in a dark cinema watching a film like that. So I got that. The film relishes on that too, even though yes, I would admit I was kind of thinking that okay, when they're gonna get to the Manson stuff, and they do kind of link it throughout the film in like these random moments, especially involving Brad Pitt though. There's one scene where you hear in a character where like the female members of the Manson family singing a song. As only after the fact that I learned that it was just based off of there's an album actually that Charles Manson did, and that was one of the
Right.
songs that was on that album actually. Like wow,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
right. I wish that there was more Manson stuff in it, but once again, I get what Tarantino was trying to do is just really showing not so much Hollywood dying, but just a shift that's happening, and it's just so in the background that people characters that really picking up on it, or they kind of aware that something's gonna happen or something's changing, and they just either don't want to deal with it or they don't know how. And just like I said, I see that kind of reflected with Tarantino himself. You know what I mean? Because yeah, he could just pretty much retire when he wants to, but it's like what I mean. He did all the tribute stuff. He's made great films over the years, but and well, it's kind of ironic that this film came out in 2019, so it's like 1969, 2019, right? So that gap, right? So there, I'm just like thinking, so he kind of just sees himself, as Rick Dalton, you know what I mean, more or less trying to keep his career afloat, you know what I mean? Even though he has done a lot of great things, but still, when this new decade comes in, will there be a need for Tarantino? Will there be a
Right.
need for his films now? You know what I mean? Will and even if he does continue the whole revisionist stuff, if he does the whole pastiche stuff, will people care for it? No. Will people just kind of tune out of it and jump to more, commercial stuff? You know what I mean? So I see that in this film. That's just his thoughts being reflected here. In this kind of weird, kind of meta way, but I know directors did it over the years, especially when he got older. So this is just kind of Tarantino doing that and being mature. And speaking of mature, and don't worry, I gotta get to Rita in a bit. Speaking of mature, I know a lot of people was making the comparison to Jackie Brown, right? So I was getting that vibe too, like, okay, it's not so much about the violence, or maybe it's not gonna be as violent as all that. It's just telling this mature story. And then we get to the third act, which I totally enjoyed actually, but it
Right.
caught me completely by surprise too. But here's the thing that I really dug from it. And I know a lot of people kind of I didn't hear anybody talk about this, right? So maybe I'm the first, whatever. So prior to the scene that will divide people. I already did divide people. Some people find it to be gratuitous. I find it insanely over the top, but it's funny and it works, right? And the song that they use there, perfect in my opinion. I love it, right? I do. I would admit, yes, he does. It does border on gratuitous. like just really insanely violent for the sake of being violent. But I kind of see it as just Tarantino himself kind of looking at himself like, I can't tell this story. If I wanted to, I really could tell this story without a drop of blood, without somebody getting killed or punched out or whatnot. But it's me, so I could do it anyway, right? I kind of saw it like that. And then also too because of what's going on in the background with the Manson family. It's like, well, you kind of come to expect violence in this movie, right? So I'm gonna give you that, but it's not
Right.
what you expect, and that's something that really blew me away with this. Because at the moment, not to spoil anything, I thought that the piece of violence that we get in the movie would have center on the Manson family doing the crime, right, doing the murders, but they don't do that. They actually kind of flip it on its heels now. And then when the moment ends now, I was thinking, okay, so he's doing the revisionist thing again. He's doing like
Right.
Inglorious Bastards, where if you remember for Inglorious
Yeah.
Bastards, Hitler gets killed, you know what I mean, in a movie theater, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was gonna be like that. Like it's going to be his take on what happened on that night when Sharon Tate got killed. So it actually didn't happen in his will. But then you get that final shot. And a lot of people kind of like, not too sure what to make of it. I see this is my interpretation of it, right? I see it as Tarantino could have just ended the story with, "Hey, nothing happened because things happen outside instead of what was supposed to happen." So
Right.
historically, this happened, but in Tarantino's will, this is what happened, right? And it could have ended like that, right? Play some cool song or whatever. But to me, this was where Tarantino's like, you know what, I could keep doing this. I could still do this weird sort of historical take on things and create my own world. But no, this actually happened, and because of that, nothing was the same. Nothing was ever the same in terms of Hollywood, right? So I have to leave this here. This is an integral moment. This is what happened. This is where the shift took place, and I can't change this to please the audience. I have to show it in a subtle way, right? So so unless you just really didn't know what happened, you just be like, okay, what happened? Well, I don't understand this. But because he
Right.
ended like that, it's like, well, no, I know this happened, and I can't change that personally. I wish I could go back. I wish that the '60s or at least that era of filmmaking or Hollywood could continue, but no, this event happened, and I have to keep that in, and that's why I felt it ended just like that. And slight spoiler, that's where you see the title for the first time in the movie, as opposed
Yes.
to the very beginning or
Right.
after the opening credits or whatnot. It shows up right there, where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because the implication is, or the new story is now started, kind of thing.
exactly, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. This is where it all begins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my love of the '60s and Hollywood pretty much ends at that one moment, and that's what I got from it. So, in short, I see this as being Tarantino's most personal movie. It's not his best work, but his most personal movie, mainly because of the stuff that he's fascinated by. And yes, I have to make this joke. Yes, you do see his fetish for feet in this. Yes, you see it quite a few
You know,
times. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't
A lot
notice
of feet
that.
in this.
I didn't. I barely noticed that. People
I,
keep
I
saying that, but
noticed it. I
I
remember that being a thing, especially with
yeah. People
with
keep
Kill
bringing
Bill
it.
Volume One and
Right.
what show was it? I think Pulp Fiction was the first time where you saw that whole foot fetish. I remember it
Yeah. No,
being a
no,
deal
I'm aware of it.
with Kill Bill.
No, I'm aware of it, but I didn't notice it per se in this movie. People keep saying, "Oh, it was such a big issue." And I'm like, okay.
That
Oh,
wasn't big, but it's just that
yeah,
blatantly characters would just kind of show their feet. Had one
yeah.
scene where a character just lift up she leg to point at a direction, and you just
Right.
see the feet there. So like, all right. So it's very Tarantino. It's all the things that you know about him. It's the stuff that he likes, just all on screen. So it's very much about him, but it's not it while it does kind of border on self-indulgent at times. I do see it as just coming from just genuinely from just a passion of just that era. You know what I mean? The films that came
Yeah.
out, the filmmaking, the directors, the actors, everybody that was there. But just that self-awareness, like I say at the very end, where it's like, but at the end of the day, while I do have clout in Hollywood and I did get away with showing Hitler getting killed in a movie theater and people loved it, I still have to remember that this moment happened and this is what forever changed Hollywood. I can't change that to please anybody or to please myself. This is the moment where everything changed, and that's why the ending is what it is. Yes, I
Yeah.
understand it will throw people off. People will be like, "But this is it, whatever. I don't care." But to me, that was powerful. That's just a moment of self awareness that, yeah, I haven't seen it in a Tarantino movie in quite some time though. So, yes, I do agree it's not the best movie he ever made, but I would say, like I said, I will say it is his most personal. It is one of his most thought out as well too. The style of it is different. Just the sort of free form kind of ways is especially those the narrative. Because I would argue that it is a story, but it's just told in this sort of breezy kind of slice of life kind of way. But there are things going on, you know what I mean? But it's just not traditional. And just for somebody to just come and say, hey, let me just do something a bit different, you know what I mean? Let me just kind of break the mold a little bit before I actually retire, quote unquote. Just shows how much growth he's had, you know, as a director, you know what I mean? So it's his very most Tarantino movie. That's why I defend it. Um, and I will say it is, yeah, easily one of the best movies of 2019. But it's not gonna work for everyone. I'll admit that. That you know, people
Right.
who want the escapism like what Kill Bill had, you're not really gonna get. If you're looking for the crowd pleasing moments, you're not really gonna get. Even though I would say it is one of the more funnier films that he's done. It is one of the funnier films he's ever did because it is very much reliant on comedy more than anything else, right? And not so much on tension. I wish that there was some more tension, especially in moments leading up to the crime, right? Another moment of self awareness I picked up on was where was prior to the killers going to do the crime, right? Remember, there's a moment where, all right, so slight spoiler, there's a moment where they said, when we going back against, you know, those who were making all these violent films in the past and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're
Right.
gonna get back at them, man, because they ruined our childhood, man. They forced us to be. And if I'm not mistaken, that was like Charles Manson's kind of methodology, like, yeah,
Right. Right.
lash back at your parents because them is the ones who spoil you. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. I didn't do nothing, right? And we talked about that with Mindhunter, by the way. Yes, with the
Right.
same guy who played him. Although I wish that we saw a little bit more of Charles Manson. That's another gripe that I had. But I get, I understand. The show isn't really about him. It's about just the event and how it changed things. Like everything that led up to that moment. So it's not really so much about him. But I wish you could have got more of him. But anyway, so that whole thing with just the criticism of the films because what they were going off basically was just the NBC show that Leo was starring in. And oh, and by the way, everything about it, the music, the camera angles, the commercials, the the text, everything is so reminiscent of 50 shows like Gunsmoke and
Yeah.
Wanted
Yeah.
Dead or
Yeah.
Alive. I was like, this is so spot on, Dread. But yeah, so I saw that moment with them more or less talking about the violence, just oh gosh, creating this culture of violence. I see that more like kind of like Tarantino look at himself like, yeah, look at the films I make. Did I really do this though? Well, I kind of did because majority of my films have violence in it, right? So it's kind of funny that he kind of plays with it kind of tongue in cheek, especially with how gratuitous the follow up scene is there. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I kind of did that. I kind of got away with a lot of shit like this, violence wise, like on screen. But at the same time, I'm just gonna show you how ugly it is too. You know what I mean? So I like that. It's kind of tongue in cheek the way how it's done. That's my defense of why that scene is so over the top, right? Because of what the character says prior to that. But yeah, I talked long enough about it. This is me fanboying over this. I have a feeling that if I watch this a couple more times, I'll just learn or just pick up more things about it. But that is to me the true testament of not just a great film, but a great director. And yes, this is a great film in my opinion, one of the best of the year. So for me, I will go with a very, very light 4.5 out of 5. Man, this is absolutely a must see. If you're a Tarantino fan, you would, I would say, you will love it as much as his previous work. But go in with an open mind, kind of know about the director himself. Just look at it as a kind of commentary on himself, where he's at, what he did before, and how he kind of influenced film as a whole, and will he be able to do that, and if he actually should, you know what I mean, with this decade coming up, you know what I mean? Just look at it from that perspective, and you will enjoy it way more than you expect. If you're expecting something more traditional, yeah, you will be disappointed by it, you know what I mean? But still, give it a look. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it in some way, shape, or form.
Right.